I guess it all started here. A car coming out of driveway to the left there, to the right. And what's so strange about that? Well, that actually is not a driveway. It's a community access way to Halloran Park, which sits in the middle of Stanwell Tops. And thus, this was the beginning of this saga. Well, everyone's certainly entitled to have a decent driveway on their property, but there was something really interesting going on at this property, and we could see that some native banksia trees had been cut on the adjacent community access land. Then we quickly saw what was happening. There was some sort of an excavation on the community land that leads to historic Henry Halloran Park. But what else was going on here? There was a concrete crossover also located in the actual park. What's happening? Obviously, it seems to lead to this huge shed, double garage. But it can't lead. Hang on a moment, the access was coming up the side of the property. Yes, here it is on the 19th, showing more exactly what is going on. This is our community land and we should have notification. Now, this all backs onto Henry Halloran Park, but who's Henry Halloran? He's a realtor, and he lived from 1869 through to 1953. In the early part of the 20th century, he had estates at Seaforth, Warriewood, Port Stephens, and Stanwell Tops, amongst others. One of his incredible ideas for a new subdivision adjacent to Canberra was Environa. However, this elaborate plan, and notice that park in the centre and everything leading to it, it was influenced by Walter Burley Griffin's plan for Canberra. But what happened with this was the Depression. So the only thing that was actually done was a homestead built, yep, right in that park. And that was by the Halloran family. Most interesting indeed. So the common factor we have here is the fact of the park in the centre. And as you can see, it's not unlike the one near Canberra, and it has three unique access entries, a telltale trademark of Henry Halloran himself. This aerial photograph, taken about 1948-51, outlines the park before it was fully developed, because the subdivision of Stanwell Tops was done in the 1950s. And if you look down in the lower right hand corner between the road and the cliff edge, you'll see a trail going along. Well, that was the original Princess Marina Walk, which went around this basic headland that overlooks Stanwell Park and around to the other side and followed across several creeks until it got to Kelly's Falls, which is the actual Hacking River Falls lifeblood of the Royal National Park. So now let's have a look around Henry Halloran Park. That's obviously where the access way will be. There's the double garage, and there's double gates there at the back with the crossover concrete already laid. We look around the park. This is used for community activities. There have been community fairs here and the gathering of children. As you can see, rather a good little playground for the kids. And now we see over here the South Longview Crescent entry with the native Gymea lilies in the access way. So we have more of a look around, and we can see the design behind Henry Halloran's plans for having a community park and the idea. Now we go into the Stonehaven or West entry, main entry for the council to come in and clear the area. And now we move into that corner there. The building's gone now, but that's where the historic original bushfire brigade was located in Stanwell Tops. And of course, we're back to the access way. So this shows Henry's plan for a community park and its unique access to it. Three entries to bring everyone to the hub. Surprisingly, this is not on the heritage list with Wollongong City Council, so plans are underway to get Henry Halloran Park listed on the heritage list. So now, how did this lease of the right of carriageway come about? Well, back in 1998 it was applied for and signed off by the then Lord Mayor David Campbell and General Manager Rod Oxley. You can see by the comparison photos the plan to the left and the actual image to the right, which actually shows the excavation. Google pretty well on the mark. The original idea was for the then owner to be able to access his back garage. So he paid $5,000 for the right of carriageway lease. But what is wrong with this plan? We have an existing building at the back, which has only just been there, that's the granny flat, yet now we find this property is subdivided, and along with the concrete crossover showing at the back. But both of those items are not on this plan as presented to Wollongong City Council. We see the right of carriageway, 3 metres wide. We see these buildings. But where is the fence showing the subdivision of the block? Oh, there it is. And there's the rear entry crossover in the park. But hang on a moment, why aren't they there on the plan? Obviously an oversight. The actual driveway itself, as you can see by this plan, slopes to the centre of the driveway by a 20mm fall. Now this is interesting because this would make a good watercourse. Because as you can see by the longitudinal section, it has quite a decent slope on it. And as you can see, with this excavation, with the water running down there, it's also going to be, well, running down the side of the driveway. It'll just gouge out. Here we see a parking space. Now, why is there a parking space when it's supposed to go to that garage over there? But hang on, we've still got our crossover here in the park. This crossover, definitely there, definitely without council knowing about it, and certainly not on that plan, is it? And appearing to be presented to council after the actual work was done. Interesting, isn't it? Now here's a real laugh. Look where the power pole is and how the driveway curves around it. The danger is, of course, kids coming down there on skateboards thinking this is great and straight into the power pole. If they miss that, they come out on the Longview Crescent. So if there's an accident, who pays the insurance? Wollongong City Council or the applicant? How's the car supposed to sort of get up there, go sideways, straight to that garage when there is no driveway there? So why is that formwork at the back? Even with that new concrete, you know, it's not wide enough for a car to park. And that's a decent double shed. It could almost be a granny flat itself. But once again, we get back to the fact that, hey, let's call a halt on this, as council did. We see comparisons. Hang on a moment, to the right there, that formwork's covered up. Or maybe just all the leaves fell down all over it for some reason. And the Rio had to get the caps on there for safety's sake, because you know what kids are like, and it is an access to Halloran Park. Now, interestingly, council allowed a crossover here on Longview Crescent, but the trouble is nobody knew about it. Certainly not the residents, but they needed that full width because, well, the power pole's in the way. Go figure. So while council called a halt to proceedings while they figured out apparently the illegally subdivided block, the driveway continued to deteriorate, as you will see in these following photos. There is water erosion from rain. There you can see the lines starting to come down. Here again, the grass is now starting to grow across the excavation and starting to get quite long. Is there a future intention for this driveway to come through Henry Halloran Park to reach this formwork at the back? Who knows? It started to become apparent that the applicant, while waiting for council's decision, certainly had no intention of keeping this work area tidy and having the grass cut. So how interested was the applicant in doing the right thing to please the residents who use the access way? The days and weeks passed. We were now into the 14th of April 2016, and things are just getting literally worse. I mean, not really much interest here on the applicant's part. Just a complete waste. Finally, after reports to council about the deterioration and long grass, the council came along and cut it all and straightened out the safety barriers, so-called safety barriers. And now it's coming to the situation where a decision still has to be made. Clearly, the right of carriageway is to access the back of the property, the original intention. But there's nothing on that lease to say that a driveway must be actually built and concreted on community land. The secondary dwelling on a block at the back, in this case a granny flat, must be accessed from the front of that block, not from the side. And there's a photo from the 11th of December 2015, definitely saying granny flat. So why is it not regarded as such? Why is the block illegally subdivided? Why is the community land required for a driveway that should be accessed from the front under the laws for a secondary dwelling? Very strange, and yet we have the unique design of Halloran Park that follows the shape of the headland, the location it's on, like an arrow, and it points to the Pacific Ocean. Can we afford to lose this historic community park? Apparently the only one named after Henry in New South Wales, and have it affected by private enterprise, especially when the development doesn't appear to be what it's supposed to be, in the access way or on the private property. A lease can always be broken, be withdrawn, and that's what should happen here, by the stroke of a pen.